You spend $100 million to reboot a classic, and it still flops big time? Yes, some reboots were so bad that fans wish they never happened. Want to know which 90s shows got ruined by terrible updates? Stick around, because there are more movie disasters you won't believe exist as we look at the 5 reboots from the 90s that were huge flops. Number 5, The New Adventures of Jonny Quest. It's the late 90s, and you're watching the Cartoon Network when suddenly a new version of Jonny Quest pops up. You're excited because, it's Jonny Quest. Even adults love it. But don't get too excited yet, because only after a few episodes, you'll be bored. You ask, why did they Johnnyfy the whole show into a teenage action mess? I asked the same question too. Let's take a look. This reboot dropped in the golden age of Cartoon Network, alongside the likes of Powerpuff Girls, Courage, Dexter's Lab, you name it. So yeah, one would expect Jonny Quest to exceed expectations. The truth is that this version leaned all in on action, explosions, gadgets, and guns. Remember the main Jonny Quest? The spooky suspense made it stand out. Adults acted like adults, but now everything we loved was gone.
I'm not too hot on guns, you little punk.
I, on the other hand, don't have a problem with them. It's all a matter of how you use.
The reboot turned Benton, Quest, and Race Bannon, literal elite scientists and bodyguards, into background props. As for the kids, they were saving the world every other day. The adults would ask to let them handle it, and then immediately they get kidnapped. Oops. And then there are the villains, who are deadly assassins. Let's talk about Jessie for a moment. She's the only main girl in the group, smart and brave, but very far from memorable. Season's 1 animation made her look like a different person every episode. Her hair and face changed so much, it got us wondering who the heck that is. The truth is that the animation was all over the place. One moment a guy loses his hat, and the next scene it's back. Don't get me started on the sloppy editing. The show tried to modernize Jonny Quest, but ended up stripping everything that made it cool in the first place. Less mystery, less suspense, and more, let the kids handle it. Nah, not what we expected or wanted. Number 4, Get Smart, 1995. Raise your hands if you've heard of the Get Smart reboot from 1995. And I'll forgive you if you haven't. This was supposed to be a comeback of one of TV's cleverest comedies. This classic 60s spy parody had Agent Maxwell Smart and Agent 99 outwit chaos with gadgets, disguises, and the dumbest smart ideas ever. But what happened when it came back in the 90s? The concept was interesting. Max and 99 are now parents, and their son Zach is the new agent who is doing all the running and sneaking. Max is now the chief, and he's no longer the one getting yelled at. Newsflash, he's the one yelling now. Zach teams up with Agent 99 because Agent 100 was too much math. Together, they fight the evil chaos again. Interesting, right?
Have the catering people snip the dogs in the embassy and drive the limousine into the helicopter. Oh, and something about a bomb.
Missed it by...
But here's the problem. The reboot was confusing. It wasn't funny enough to be a comedy and wasn't smart enough to be clever. They tried to seize onto the old Get Smart type humor with goofy jokes, but that missed the mark as the 60s and 90s had an awkward meaning here. The villain made things worse. The chairwoman? Her personality was that of a plain bagel untoasted. Where was the flair and the weirdness we longed for? The worst part was that the show lasted only 7 episodes from January 8th to February 19th, 1995. You could finish your binge watch on this reboot in about 3.5 hours and forget it all by dinner. To be fair, Get Smart wasn't all bad. Don Adams and Barbara Feldon returned as Max and 99. Even Siegfried made a guest appearance. However, nostalgia can't save you when your writing is weak. The jokes are unrelatable and the main character feels like a watered-down version of his dad. So yes, Get Smart reboot had the name, legacy, and original cast, but not the spark. Number 3, The Brady Bunch. This one is wild. Everyone knows the Brady Bunch. It's that super clean-cut, all-American family from the 70s. From chore wheels, matching outfits, and enough sunshine to power a solar farm, what's there not to love? The Brady Bunch was getting set for a comeback with the original kids grown up when something unexpected happened. Cindy Brady was ready to be back, just not as the sweet little girl you remember, but as an adult. Well, she deep-sixed the entire reboot. How? Susan Olsen, who played Cindy, grew up to become a no-nonsense libertarian podcaster. According to Susan, the new version of the Brady Bunch was already in the works. It had been in early production for about a year, fast forward to when it got canned. Why?
It's a lot, Greg. It really works.
Well, Susan said CBS was nervous about her. They were scared of her loud opinion. Apparently, Apparently, Susan Olsen had made some controversial statements in the past, including strong views on COVID-19, vaccines, and the LGBTQ+ community. She also hosted a political talk show and had a public clash with a gay actor. The whole drama ended with Olsen getting fired from her radio gig. So when CBS started developing the reboot, they questioned whether having Susan on the show was safe. They even asked her to take a political correctness course to smoothen things. When she refused, they knew it was game over. And with that, the reboot quietly disappeared. Now disappointed fans are speaking out, saying Olsen's views shouldn't affect her role on a fictional TV show. Others agree that CBS was right to cut ties with her. But what do you think? Anyway, the Brady Bunch didn't get a chance for a second sunrise because real-life drama interfered. Many thought it would have been one of the best reboots ever, but we will never know. Number 2. RoboCop the series. We all had high expectations for a RoboCop reboot. If you watch previous versions, you'll understand. The hype around this new movie was real. The tech is sleeker and the suits look cooler. The CGI was straight up Hollywood standard. They even spent over $100 million trying to revive one of the most hardcore action icons of the 80s. But what did we get? Robo-flop. Now let's get this straight. RoboCop in 1987 was wild. It wasn't just a robot with a gun, but a brilliant, brutal, and dark one. It was about what happens when you take an almost dead cop, stuff him into a machine, and turn him into a corporate-controlled weapon. It had brains, blood, and a soul, but was property of the police force. Have you ever wondered why it still went downhill? Well, first off, the movie tried to act like it was deep. Ironically, it forgot to say anything new. Instead of exploring how tech eats away our humanity like the original, we had drone drama, boardroom meetings, and family dinners. Secondly, there's Joel Kinnaman, who has exceptional acting skills. However, he's not a star like Peter Weller was in the original. He didn't bring the vibe the RoboCop needs. Without this magnetism, the whole thing felt robotic, not in a good way, of course. This next reason is big. They made RoboCop PG-13. The original one was rated R for a reason. It was gritty, unapologetic, and nasty. But this reboot? It felt like RoboCop on a Disney internship. No guts, no glory, just a robot trying to impress everyone. And oh, they dropped this movie on Valentine's Day. Because there's nothing romantic about a man trapped inside a robot suit and shooting drones in the face, no one cared. In fact, viewers were confused. Deadpool tried this strategy a few years earlier and it worked. But with RoboCop, it was a no-no. In the end, the movie made around $242 million worldwide, but was very disappointing considering the successful franchise it derived from. Number 1. The Munsters. Spooky spooky? Who's ready for this one? The Munsters takes us there for a moment. You may be wondering if this is a creepy version of the Addams Family. Well, close, but it's not it. The Munsters were a family of monsters who acted more like a wholesome 1950s sitcom. Frankenstein dad, vampire mom, grandpa Dracula, a werewolf kid. Somehow, they were the normal ones in their neighborhood. They weren't scary. Yes, they looked like monsters, but they acted like your sweet next-door neighbors. The Munsters were pure dad jokes and monster makeup, and that's what made them lovable. The Munsters were loved and had a huge fan base, especially in syndication, and with that fan base, out came the reboots.
Is that we spend the rest of my lives growing disgracefully old together.
And now the rings.
Who remembers Mockingbird Lane from 2012? It was a dark and edgy version of the Munsters that bombed so hard that NBC didn't greenlight it. They only aired the pilot on Halloween and backed out. This is not the first time Universal forgot what show they were rebooting. In 2017, NBC tried once more to reboot the Munsters. They teamed up with Seth Meyers and Jill Kargman to co-develop the show. The plan was to drop the Munster family into hipster Brooklyn. This idea sparked eye rolls. Not surprisingly, NBC quietly dropped the idea. And then there's Rob Zombie's attempt in 2022. He tried to make it a goofy, bright comedy about Herman and Lily Munster falling in love. Well, that also didn't work. The jokes were flat and the pacing was weird. Viewers likened it to a Halloween store commercial shot on a budget. Yikes. Why does Hollywood try to turn the Munsters into a nightmare? Universal is currently trying a new reboot called 1313, produced by James Wan, the guy behind The Conjuring and Saw. Rumor has it that it's going to be dead scary. Imagine making SpongeBob into a war drama? It misses the point, really, but maybe they will hit on something. We'll have to wait and see. Many in Hollywood know that reboots are very tricky. They know it's a bad idea to mess with an already beloved character because fans want what they want, so don't fix what isn't broken. And when a reboot is produced and a known character is portrayed very differently, it can confuse or even alienate the already existing audience, and that's not a good idea, since they are the reason you produced the reboot in the first place. I should point out, not all reboots are a disaster. For instance, Bel-Air is a fresh take on the old 90s show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. However, the reboot ditches the jokes and settles for a more dramatic vibe. And guess what? Viewers love it! Some reboot disasters helped open the door for better ones in the future. And there are those reboots that didn't work when released, but the reboot has become more popular, and some even hit cult classic status as they aged. While producers don't make money from the failed production, thanks to streaming platforms like Netflix, movies and shows that once flopped are getting a second chance with a younger audience. So now we can search or stumble onto these forgotten reboots online and possibly see why it didn't work at the time. Or maybe you'll love it and wonder what was wrong with audiences back then. That might be the same question failed reboot producers ask themselves. We've covered some of the worst reboots today. Would you like to see a video of the best reboots ever? Let us know in the comments. And hey, which reboot do you think flopped the hardest? Please let us know in the comments section.